Hi, welcome to Quantum Art for May with your host, Wendy. I'm Wendy, and for those of you that don't know me, I am a channel, I'm an artist, and I'm a seer. So every month I create a painting that holds the frequencies and the energies that Spirit wants me to share with everybody. They're meant to kind of inform, guide, and energize. So they're meant to be felt, they're also meant to be understood, and they kind of change with time. So they're very powerful pieces. This one is special, partly because I started it in like 2020. So like during COVID, and it was never quite done. It just never felt right. Most of my paintings I kind of birth, right, and I create, and I'm fine with, as an artist, you could always keep rendering something to make it look super, realistic and things. But as long as the message has come across, or the energy has come across, I'm fine. But this painting, it just never settled right. But I always trust, and it never felt right to add anything or keep doing anything. So I just waited. And it wasn't until this month, a few weeks ago, that I was nudged by Spirit to add to this one. So you can kind of see the before painting and now the after. And that is a perfect symbol of what has been happening this month. And my paintings, though I paint a painting every month, they are not limited by time. So what I'm bringing in now, right, is partly tying in stuff from way before COVID and then bringing it in through the rest of the year. So these are aspects and energies and information that we're going to be continuing to integrate and understand as we go. So know that even if you're listening to this on another month of a different year, it's perfect for you. That's the magic of this reality. So if you are called to this painting, please listen to the messages. And like always, you are the authority of you. So you try on things that I'm saying, and you'll find, though, that to stay open and feel what it is that I'm sharing. But whatever is calling to you, or what you think is right for you, is probably right for you, right? So it's right for you, and it might not be right for somebody else, and that's okay. So just kind of trusting whatever is arising. So whatever you're thinking it means is exactly what it needs to mean for you. This is not a black and white reality anymore. This is not concrete anymore. We're kind of going down the rabbit hole together in this new world, in this fifth dimensional expansion, in the spiritual awakening. We've never really been here before. So judgments, egos, things have to be left behind. So just kind of enjoy this journey with me and settle in. We're going to go on a little adventure together. This painting, there's a lot going on. So let's just get to it. This painting, like I said, is really profound. It really is this month and moving into the future. It is about integrating the past, present, and future. And so that can be very messy, very busy, just like this painting is. It's beautiful, though, too, right? You can see from this older painting and this newer painting what was kind of missing. It was missing the magic, right? Someone would define it even like the divine feminine, or this femininity. And that is really what is being integrated truly in our beings. This spiritual awakening is a lot to do with this feminine energy and what that looks like. Look at how colorful it is. Look at how magical it is. The other way is really logical and it's important, but it's missing something. And so it really does show in a graphic way, when we're out of balance, we're missing like a whole nother part of this reality. And so it kind of reminds us to stay open. And so whenever you're feeling out of balance, being open to the possibility that so much more is going on. And even though you might not understand it, it's okay. You can call on it, right? You can call on this magic and this energy, and you can ask it to help you. So we have a lot of help. And it first starts off with the beginning of the month. It was going to be a very magical kind of month. We knew that even looking at the painting. And I had these northern lights in this painting, as you see in this upper left corner. And these northern lights are really significant. Partly, I did paint this part, way back, years ago. But I broke it out of that circle and had it coming in and out onto the scenery, really to show that it's meant to kind of impact us, or it does actually impact us on a greater scale than we think. And lo and behold, we live in Michigan. We had this profound northern light experience. We don't normally get to see northern lights. They usually don't come down this far south, and they did. And for a couple days, us here in southern Michigan got to experience the northern lights in a profound way, and it was really exciting. And then, of course, I have it in this painting. So it was really this beautiful, magical expression, like, magic is real. And here is a demonstration. Like, how did I know that was going to happen? I didn't. I just kind of trusted spirit, and they had me paint that, right? It's so cool. And that happens a lot, but I love it when we can really demonstrate it and show it to you guys. And spirit says, whenever I say spirit, I say universe. There are other sentient beings, there are the Pleiadians, there are Arcturians. They're all kind of together. But there are other sentient beings that have kind of ascended to a higher level of consciousness, to where we may not understand them completely, but they're really beings of love and light. And this higher frequency energy comes through in solar flares and in northern lights, and it really kind of demonstrates this love and energy support that we have right now. So I want you to just kind of breathe that in. We really do have a lot of help. Feel the stars, feel the sky. There's a lot going on, but there's a sense of peace in that energy. There's a sense of wonder, and everything's going to be okay. So that is also happening this month, this wonder and this magic, and that's really amazing, and I love that. Let's see what else. Some of these concepts I'm going to introduce to you here in this video, you might find yourself resisting it, and just to notice if you are, there's so much more going on that we don't really understand, including the melting of the ice caps. Do I feel that we need to look at and shift our relationship with the earth? Yes. Do I think that we need to create a more sacred bond in partnership with the earth? Yes. Do I feel like we need to come up with better, more sustainable systems with energy and garbage and reusability? Yes, for sure. All of these things are parts of this awakening where we're recognizing the destructive nature of some of our behaviors, and we're taking responsibility for that. And we need to collectively, and we need to make profound change in these areas. That being said, I also do feel like the earth is a profound, wise being, and it has gone through ice ages and mini ice ages, and it knows how to heal itself. It knows how to get rid of us if that was necessary, right? The destructive nature of our beings. It would know how to do that. It does know how, and we have seen evidence of this in our voyage for finding information and knowledge. We have found evidence of, thousands and thousands of years old civilizations that we didn't know existed. Like we have seen the end and rise of many civilizations before this one. And so that being said, I invite you to consider that this melting of the ice caps is maybe something else. And I'm not saying I have the answer, but I am saying that it could be something else. And that being said, what is that something else? We have to put all the information together. We're also getting that we're part of the spiritual awakening, that we've never been here before. So maybe it's about that. Like, we need to start looking at the stories that we're telling, that we're thinking, that we are validating. We don't know, even our scientists don't know. They do know that they're melting. And they do know that if we keep going with the gas and the garbage and all these things, it has a negative effect. I totally get that. But whenever there's a huge amount of fear, it always is a red flag to me, because that's not all of the truth, because I feel a tremendous amount of love. And whenever we go to an extent of just fear, I know it's out of balance. Meaning, like, somebody's not all bad just because they, even, if they said something really terrible to you, they're not all bad, right? They might have had a bad day. It's kind of like, it's about like just having discernment with some of these things. And that's partly why the polar bear is here, reminding us that things are not as they seem, and that the earth has a wisdom and a knowledge of her own process of becoming, because she's awakening too, as we are awakening consciously. And so I just want to begin to have this conversation with you about what that might be. There are prophecies about the North becoming the South and the South becoming the North, and Notre Dame has talked about that as well, and the flipping of the poles and all of these things. Well, that is also foretelling of something that just naturally seems like it's part of a natural process. That doesn't mean that it's all good. I get that, but it does bring a little bit a sense of peace, knowing that it could be part of a bigger picture. And so then we have the polar bear, and that's partly what it is about. So you can take that from a very large point of view, right? The polar bear represents that, like on a global scale. Let's kind of think about the stories that we're telling and framing them in a way that's more balanced and not so dramatic, right? Like, the world's going to end, the sky is falling, like that kind of stuff, even in your own personal life. So it's global and it's interpersonal. Like, where are you telling a story that might be outdated or out of balance? Like, do you trust people? Are you telling a story where people are not trustworthy? Are you telling a story that everyone's a terrible driver? I mean, this sounds silly, but those are really important things, because it's like, if you're making certain things grandiose and absolutes, you must be doing it other places too. So just start really noticing this month, because those kinds of imbalances, where they're not a balanced truth, will start to affect other things. So the Spirit's just saying, being mindful of these. If you don't understand or don't know, then you don't know, and that's okay. And if you're afraid of not knowing, or you don't really understand and you're afraid, that's a whole nother story. And at least then you're speaking and talking in truth. Like, I don't know really what's happening with the ice caps, but it scares me to think that, that we could be destroying the earth. I'm scared about that. Like, that's okay. I would like to do something about that, right? We're not powerless, we're powerful, right? So this is about an empowering month of like, no, you have the power to change your story. All right. That being said, we have the Sphinx and the Ankh, right, in the sand. So in some ways, some of this information and wisdom from ancient Egypt are coming into our awareness. And I mean spiritually, I don't mean in a literal way. And some of these philosophies and ways of being existed then, and they're awakening up, and they're trying to come into our awareness now. And a lot of it has to do, and I'm not talking about when we know of Egypt times, like Cleopatra, that's actually pretty young. I'm talking about in the beginning of Egyptology. So older, they say the Sphinx is super old. It's older than even the Egyptians, right? I'm talking about that old, okay? And the Ankh and the power of what that really embodies. This is about femininity, divine feminine power. And that is what's awakening here. And when we've explored this, and Brenda and I are going to be talking about this on our podcast, this is a very powerful force, not like in a scary way. Again, remember, if you go to fear, you know it's out of balance. It's okay to have some fear, like, hey, I don't understand that. I have some little, discernment there. But it's about love, right? It's about an embodiment of all that is. It's about the no thing and nothing and everything all at once. So it's the alpha and the omega. It's the power of being able to give birth, right? The creative force. And this is something that has been lost in our culture and in the world. Spirit tells me that the energy of this does exist in some small parts of the world, but it is awakening. And with that is this awakening of our mental health, is the awakening of our power of our emotions. And those are just small things, because emotions are attached to our intuition and our passion and our unique divine spark and expression. And so this Ankh and this Sphinx is a part of a culture that understood this, and they utilized it in at first in a balanced way, they're saying right now. It did take a turn, and that's partly why it's awakening again now, to where we have more information and hopefully we can use it in balance and in love. That isn't meant to scare people. It's kind of like powerful energy. In Kung Fu, how we have the ability to, or, in all of those martial arts, they really have you channel your chi. Your chi is your own internal energy source, right? And you have a spiritual practice for you to cultivate that energy within your body, to where it's like it is with your breath, and it's so refined and it's so practiced through discipline. It's like sharpening a sword, to where your thoughts, your feelings, your actions are all in alignment, and it creates such power to where they could punch something and throw them across the room. Like, that is a real thing that actually happens. It takes a lot of practice to discipline yourself in that way. And it's partly what I'm talking about. It is an embodiment of your sacred temple within. And that's why Brenda and I talk so much about, you have to cultivate the sacred temple within. Do you love yourself? Are there thoughts in here from your childhood that go against your worth and your value and how loved you are? Not that you're doing anything wrong, but those parts of you need to be transmuted, needs to be shifted into a frequency of love, so that way you are in complete alignment with this energy that's coming in. And then as your thoughts and your being are all in alignment, you will have so much energy to utilize with manifesting, with getting, doing your passions, living longer, all of these things, healing. That's really what the spiritual awakening is about, embodying this energy in a new way to where you can do all of those things. It's extremely powerful and it's amazing. And it is about this feminine, and some aspects of what I'm talking about can't even be talked about because it's part of the no thing. It's part of the sacredness. So the only thing we can do in those spaces, for those of you that know what I'm talking about, we can only talk around it. True power, you can only talk around it. Because as soon as you name it, it actually loses its power. So not to speak in riddles, but it's almost like the silence. I can't talk to you about silence. I can only allow you to experience it. That's exactly what I mean. It's exactly that. It's the sacredness of not having to give your power away, not having to explain yourself, of really knowing love and connecting with yourself and all that is, and then choosing from that place of sacredness. And that's why Brenda and I feel so passionately about the work that we do because it's so important to embody this. And, we can talk all day at you and you can tell us all day of, the gifts that you have or whatever, but that none of that matters. It's the stillness, the sacredness. And that's really what this Ankh and the Sphinx are. And this doorway, this crack in the earth down below here, below those things, has everything to do with the split of realities. They say that we're splitting realities and, we're going to have the old earth and the new earth. And really what that means is like people that are operating in more three-dimensional ways of being, like they're not even aware that they're spiritual beings, right? Having a human experience, right? They're still going to have opportunities to recognize that and to still, everyone has the same opportunities to become enlightened. But there are going to be those that are still operating those fear-based ways. That's the old earth. So the split, and then you have the new earth, the people that recognize the consciousness that we have and the power and the responsibility we have with that consciousness. It is not a hierarchy. It doesn't mean if you're in the old earth, because there might be aspects of yourself that are in the old earth, and that's okay. And that's why this month's about integrating, because we're all works in progress, right? We all have experienced trauma. We've all have parts of us that might still be afraid, and there's nothing wrong with that. This human experience is about learning how to integrate more light into the dark. That's what it is. And so this other new earth is about moving more into taking responsibility for the power that we have to create a reality, your own personal reality, and like where there's no victim, there's no blaming other people. It's about really taking responsibility that you are a spiritual being and that you chose this incarnation, which means you chose your parents, you chose your partners, you chose these experiences. And so, and being grateful for that. And there must be a reason why you chose what you did. And believe me, I've experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of darkness. And so I'm not coming from a place of being like, not having an appreciation or compassion for those experiences. So, and that's partly what this crack is. There's this opportunity, this doorway that's opening into this new earth, this new world. And with it is a lot of energy and a lot of power. And you step in through this doorway by just choosing it consciously, by just choosing it and wanting it and, letting go of the fear and integrating and learning how to love yourself, right? You're going to start interacting with people and the earth in new, amazing, magical ways. It's quite amazing once you start experiencing it. It's like magic. Like you start seeing fairies, you start seeing some amazing, miraculous synchronicity. Talk about synchronicity. You start really cultivating the sacred temple within, the synchronicities you start having, the ability to manifest abundance and love into your life. It has to be those frequencies, though. That's the thing. It's an interesting paradox because it is about this frequency of love and light, these higher frequencies. And I don't really understand why yet, but it is a part of it. And that's partly what this, right to the right of the Sphinx here, this new human. Because as you're really cultivating the sacred temple within, right, you are a new human. Your abilities as a human being begin to expand. Talk about, like we said, healing, intelligence, solutions to things, creativity, the ability to maneuver through different dimensions, right? But it's about embodying that in this physical being. So it's about this body. It's like bringing this body with us. It's not about, leaving this human body and wanting to just go back. It's about bringing the light and love into this physical form and bringing this being with you. So you're experiencing it on all these levels. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, and then we get to this waterfall and this tree and Anubis and this black hole right on the right side of this painting. So it's really interesting because you have the right side of the painting and you have the left side of the painting. The left side of the painting is really almost about the sun energy in some ways, because it's really lit. And then it's like different aspects of femininity. And I know that, typically the sun energy with Ra is like a masculine, has a masculine sense. But I feel like as we move into this new earth, it's not going to be compartmentalized that way anymore. Just like these paintings overlap and become a brand new thing, once we actually have the divine feminine, divine masculine, there's no more separation. And it feels like it's just going to come together as one. It's about being and not masculine or feminine. And that's really what I'm getting. It's like it's no longer going to be this splitness, even within us. And that's why gender is being questioned, sexuality is being questioned so much, because it really is about an integration. So there's a lot of sun energy on the left. And then as we get into the right side of the painting, it's a lot of moon energy. And though some could say that this is the feminine, right? Because the moon's always been known as the feminine. But I'm telling you, this new earth and where we're headed, we're not going to have the separation anymore. It's just a way of being. So what is the moon energy? What is nighttime? And that part of our functioning, right? Because men will say, they obviously experience that. And so it can't be just feminine, right? Or masculine. And however you're thinking that you need to identify and compartmentalize, I would say that it's going to be limited because it's just our brains needing to organize something. Our brains are very limited. So staying open, just trying this on, this is really what I am getting. And understanding, so this nighttime energy, the idea, the symbol of the waterfall. And in many cultures and a lot of spiritual and with indigenous people, there's a lot of word of mouth stories that are shared that have everything to do with waterfalls and the process of transforming as you go behind the waterfall. And that's really what this is about, this transformation. So this month is about transformation in this waterfall. And it is really having to trust and let go and follow the joy. You don't have control, like really shifting your relationship with control and letting yourself move into things that you don't know or understand. And so kind of moving into the discomfort. And part of the waterfall energy is this black hole. And this tree is a tree, right? And its branches, and it has gold. So it's telling you that it's divine in nature. And so this divine energetic tree has this black hole. So it's almost like dark matter. And scientifically, we really don't know what that is. And I do feel like it's part of the fabrics of reality, and we need it, right? We need black holes. They're telling me to jump. That's how we jump through space, is through the black holes. But also this black hole is this idea of death. And that's why Anubis is on this side. He is the king of the underworld, or he helps you through the passage as soon as you cross over to get to to get to afterlife. He helps you through that process. He weighs your life. You go through this period of looking at your life when you just cross over. But it's this idea of death. And we really have to, as our culture in the West, our Western ideas around death really have to be looked at. In some ways very immature, not in judgment, but just around, we can't even really talk about it. And it's a really bad thing, death is. And it's so part of our reality that we, it would just allow us some relief if we could shift our relationship around it, because we're all going to die. That's truth, right? So shifting your own personal relationship around death and what that means, and thinking about that for yourself. And I would just invite you to, and that's what Spirit is saying, is that death and life go hand in hand. And you have to have one with the other, just like you have to have light and you have to have dark matter, right? In the universe, as part of this reality, we have to have death. So Not to say it's not comfortable, but maybe getting comfortable with that and kind of, being okay with this idea of letting go. Again, it's letting go, right? And that death is really just another doorway into another dimension, another reality. Because maybe when we entered into this, where we were born, right, we died in some other reality to be born into this one. Maybe that birth itself, the birth canal itself, is the doorway to these dimensions, right? So really thinking about things in a different way in our relationships with reality. That's a lot of the themes this month, but it's so magical. I mean, everybody has a spiritual tree, right? They say that every human being, every soul has a spiritual tree, that embodies and holds all of your wisdom and all of your knowledge. And then you can go to it at any time. And it holds all of your lifetimes, right? And it helps remind you of who you are. So you can call on your own tree. So partly is this month is remembering that you're so much more than whoever you think you are this life. You're so much more than your name or your gender or your relationships with people. Because other lives, you might be a male or you might be a female or you might be young or old and have a short life or have a super long life or be black or white or Chinese or South American or, indigenous. We're all each other. And maybe it does happen in a blink of an eye. And this is just a very long, drawn out spectrum of light that we experience as time. I mean, this is where they're really wanting you to stretch your thinking with reality and what you think you know. Even for me, I don't know the answers, but they're really getting us to kind of think outside of the box, to be open to the possibility, to believe in magic, to believe in miracles. We're entering exciting times because as we move into the sacred temple within and these new earth frequencies, miracles are going to be abound. And the idea of dragons and just love and inclusion and, brand new reality. In some ways, you can't even understand it where you're sitting. It's kind of like explaining to a kindergartner what college is going to be like, or a 7-year-old what, marriage is going to be like, or driving a car, right? They're not there yet. And so it's kind of like just staying open and just enjoying the ride. But there is this process of this magic in the stillness and in this quiet space. Remember, we talked about that quietness, right? And how in this stillness and how we have to experience it. That's really what this waterfall is, and this tree is, and what Anubis is. This is going to be so personal to you. And so I invite you to just kind of sit with this painting, and I'll leave it here at the end of the video where you can just kind of sit with the painting. And then maybe in a meditation later on, you can go to your own waterfall, go to your tree, and see what's there for you, because there are gifts to be had in this painting and for you spiritually this month. So it is exciting. We have a lot of help. They told me that we used to, at one point in one of our civilizations, were able to communicate to other sentient beings clearly. And some of this I'm just channeling right now. And part of that was the sacred temple within. We stopped that. We stopped talking to them. That was partly what Atlantis did. They misused the power. They stopped connecting to these other sentient beings. So we can't go up yet, right? And that's moving into this 5th dimensional expansion. That's what we're doing, but we have to create the sacred temple within. And that's part of what the Egyptians knew, cultivating this mastery of mind and feelings and body, healing ourselves, to be able to manifest reality, and then we can start reaching out. As soon as enough of us are able to reach out is when humanity itself is going to make contact, and we're going to be able to communicate to other sentient beings. And they say right now all they can do is send it down. So they can send it down, but we're not able to reach up yet, if that makes sense. And though I do believe that some people have connected and are communicating fine, but I mean even in a different way than we imagine. We really have to stay open, because if we've never experienced it, we don't want to put limitations on it. Like it needs to come in this way, or it has to come in through the radio, or it has to come this way. Like, let go of your expectation around what that is, because you don't know. And that's really what Spirit is saying. So staying open, there's a lot of magic this month. I hope you enjoyed this painting. It was such a beautiful process for me, within me and within my own being. And then obviously even just having the magic of the Northern Lights, and even the learning to really trust the process. That painting was never complete until now, and now it finally gets to be completed, and just seeing that it was appropriate to wait this long, and that there are no accidents and there are no mistakes, because through that process I would have kind of beat myself up a little bit about not being able to get that painting done. I really want to get that painting done, and how I get better at that every day. But just really seeing that listening, and the magic of really truly listening and following your own rhythm, and what that really can bring. So much love to you. I can't wait to share June's. I've already started it, and let me know what you guys think. Until next time, namaste.